Title: I discovered that my father created a trust fund only for my entitled sister. So I stopped paying for their vacation home and ceased all extra help. A few weeks later, he texted me, "The property taxes are due." No hello, no check-in. I calmly answered him. A trust broken. I always thought love in our family was silent, but equal. We weren't the kind to say, "I'm proud of you" out loud, or hug over good report cards. But when things got hard, we showed up. I paid my way through college, started a consulting firm from scratch. And when Mom got sick 3 winters ago, I was the one who moved schedules and wired money to cover whatever insurance didn't. My sister, Lacey, on the other hand, she was always figuring it out. At 34, she'd yet to hold a job for more than a year, still leaned on our parents for rent transfers, and often popped up on Instagram in Italy or Tulum with captions like, "Healing requires travel." Dad defended her like clockwork. "She's just wired differently," he'd say. "She'll bloom late. You're so strong. We don't worry about you." And maybe that was the problem. They didn't worry about me. The discovery. It happened by accident. I had stopped by my parents' vacation home, a modest lake house I'd helped renovate and financially maintain for years. Plumbing, new roof, pest control. I never said no. That afternoon, I was searching through the old filing cabinet near the desk, looking for utility receipts from last year to dispute an overcharge. And that's when I found it. A sleek, blue leather-bound folder labeled Lacey's Trust, Confidential. I paused, opened it. Inside was a legal document, notarized, signed by my father. It detailed the creation of an irrevocable trust, a sizable one, for Lacey. 6 figures. Annual disbursements. Conditions so relaxed they may as well not exist. No mention of me. Not even a contingency clause. Just her. The aftermath. I didn't say anything that day. I didn't storm out or send a rage-fueled group text. I just left. Quietly. And I stopped. I stopped paying the taxes on the vacation home. I stopped wiring money for maintenance. I stopped answering calls labeled small favor. 3 weeks later, no one checked in. Not a single message saying, "Hey, we haven't heard from you." Until one afternoon, my phone lit up with a message from Dad. No greeting, no warm-up. Just, "The property taxes are due." And that was it. Not even a, "How are you?" I stared at the screen for a long time. Then, I calmly typed back, "Best of luck with that. Ask the daughter you actually invested in." The silence that said, everything. After I sent that text, I expected a phone call, maybe even an angry one. But what I got was nothing. No reply, no follow-up, just silence. And for once, I welcomed it. Because silence is a mirror. And in it, my father's reflection was clear. He didn't want to talk to me. He just wanted me to pay. The bills keep coming. A week later, a forwarded bill from the vacation home popped into my inbox. No subject line, just an attached PDF of unpaid utilities, and a second notice for lawn maintenance. No note from Dad. No acknowledgement of my boundary. Just a quiet, desperate hope that I'd quietly go back to fixing everything. I didn't. Because the only thing worse than being unappreciated is being used and invisible. Lacey's birthday dinner I hadn't planned on attending, but when Mom texted me, asking, no, gently guilt-tripping me into at least showing up for cake, I agreed. Not for Lacey, but for the performance. I needed to see the stage before I burned it down. They reserved a private room at a trendy rooftop spot in the city. Lacey was dressed like a Pinterest influencer. Sparkly heels, wine in hand, already halfway to tipsy by the time I arrived. "Oh, wow," she said when she saw me, with that condescending smile she wore when pretending we were close. "Didn't think you'd make it." "I'm as surprised as you are," I said, taking the open seat across from her. Dad was at the head of the table, laughing with two of Lacey's friends. Mom sat beside him, beaming like it was a wedding rehearsal. They didn't ask how I was doing. They didn't mention the property taxes. They just toasted to Lacey's big year. And then came the knife. About halfway through dinner, Lacey leaned in and said, loud enough for the table to hear, "Dad, you have to help me look at apartments this week. I'm not renewing my lease, and I need something nice, you know? Like maybe Midtown?" He chuckled, nodding. "We'll talk, sweetheart. The trust gives us some flexibility now." The trust. He said it out loud, in front of me, like I wasn't even there. I stared at my plate, heart pounding, not with pain, but with precision. This question mark, this was the final insult, and my revenge would be as quiet as their betrayal. The exit. I stood up calmly before dessert. "No goodbye," Lacey smirked. I smiled. "No need. You already said everything." Then I walked out. And with every step, I peeled away the last thread of obligation I had ever felt toward them. Where it starts to hurt. 2 weeks passed after Lacey's birthday dinner. I didn't text, didn't call, didn't check on the house. And this time, no one dared ask me to. But I heard things. My cousin Jenna, who still spoke to me regularly, filled in the gaps. "They're starting to panic," she said over coffee one Saturday morning. "The lawn is overgrown. There's a lien notice on the property, and your dad's apparently been ghosted by 2 contractors who are still waiting to be paid." I sipped slowly from my cup. Interesting. Because when you remove the foundation, the whole house starts to tilt. The financial hit. The vacation home had always been their golden escape, somewhere to boast about at church, brag to friends, and retreat to when the world felt heavy. But now, it was becoming a burden. Without my payments, their budget was strained. Mom had to cancel her yearly spa trip. Dad stopped donating to his golf club's annual fundraiser. Even Lacey started complaining. Why is everything suddenly so expensive? Didn't we used to have help with this stuff? Used to. The call from the accountant. On a Thursday afternoon, I received a message from someone unexpected. Their accountant, Mr. Dalton. He'd worked with the family for years, and occasionally emailed me directly when my payments helped reduce their tax burden. This time, his tone was different. "Kira, I'm reaching out because your father's financials are falling behind. I've advised him to either sell the vacation home or refinance, but he's refusing to act. I know this may not be your concern anymore, but I wanted you to be aware, since you've been so integral in the past." I stared at the email. Part of me wanted to delete it. Another part wanted to respond with a single sentence. It stopped being my concern the day I stopped being his daughter. But I didn't reply. Not yet. Because the silence still served me better. The family slip-up. The final push came a week later, when a family friend, Mr. Keller, an old neighbor, ran into me at the grocery store. "I saw your dad the other day," he said casually. "Said you've been too busy for the family lately." He chuckled as if it were a joke, but I didn't laugh. "He told people I'm too busy," I repeated calmly. "He made it sound like you're just not around anymore." That was the moment I realized they weren't just letting me go. They were rewriting the narrative. And I had one last thread to cut. The public unraveling begins. That weekend, I did something they didn't expect. I made a donation, publicly, to a local community housing initiative. The donation was in honor of my late grandfather, a man who had taught me to save, to work, to give, but never to give to those who take you for granted. The press release was simple, but my quote, "Family isn't just about where you were born. It's about who shows up for you without expecting a return on investment." It made the paper, and it made the rounds, and suddenly, the story my father had been spinning didn't sound so convincing anymore. The brunch that broke everything. It was Mom's idea. "Just brunch," she said in a carefully worded email. "Let's get back to being a family. We're stronger than this." She even offered to make her signature orange scones, my childhood favorite. I knew what it really was. Damage control. But I said yes. Because sometimes, to burn a bridge with peace, you have to cross it one last time. The setup. We met at the vacation house, the same one now looking more like a forgotten memory than a family gem. The grass was yellowed, the windows streaked, and the back porch had a growing crack. I arrived 15 minutes late, not out of pettiness, out of control. Let them wait for once. Inside, the table was neatly set, overly cheerful. Lacey was wearing designer sunglasses indoors and scrolling her phone. Dad stood by the coffee pot, not looking up. Mom tried to make small talk about the weather. I didn't entertain it. "Let's not pretend," I said gently. "Why am I really here?" The mask's lips Dad finally spoke. "We're a family. We want to move forward." I raised an eyebrow. "Is that before or after I cover this year's property taxes again?" He flinched. Lacey rolled her eyes. "You're still on that? You act like we haven't all made sacrifices." "Oh?" I asked, calm but sharp. "Remind me what you've sacrificed, Lacey. Spa weekends? Apartment upgrades? Or was it all that trust fund paperwork you had to sign?" Her face turned crimson. "I didn't ask for the trust," she snapped. "Dad set that up because I actually need help, not like you, Miss Independent." I smiled coldly. "You're right. I don't need help, which is why I stopped offering it." The moment of truth. Dad stepped in. "Let's all take a breath." "No," I said. "Let's take accountability." I pulled a small folder from my bag and set it on the table. Inside, copies of the unpaid property taxes, invoices I'd previously covered, and the trust fund summary I'd found all those months ago. "This," I said, tapping the folder, "is the cost of your choices, and I'm done paying it." Silence. Either sell the house, refinance it in Lacey's name, or let it go into default. I won't lift another finger. Lacey's voice cracked. "You'd really let the house go." I leaned forward. "You already did. You just didn't notice, because I was still holding it up." The walkout. I left the brunch without touching a single scone. No one followed me. No one called after. And for the first time, I felt free. Not because they let me go, but because I finally stopped trying to stay. The legal turnaround. 2 weeks after the brunch, I filed paperwork with the county clerk's office. Not to cover the taxes, to put in a formal lien notice on the vacation home. See, I'd kept receipts. Every plumbing bill, every landscaping invoice, every off-season payment made in my name. I didn't do it out of spite back then. I did it because I run a business, and businesses track investments. When you've paid for 60% of a property's upkeep over 6 years, and the legal owners stop responding, you have options, and I exercised mine. The notice hits Dad, got the certified mail first. I know because Jenna messaged me. He looked like someone had pulled the rug out from under him at the mailbox. He tried calling. I didn't answer. Then came a text. "We need to talk. You didn't have to escalate this." I responded 4 hours later. "Neither did you, but here we are." The attempt to reassert control. He tried a lawyer, a friend of a friend type. I assumed the call was something like, "Can she really do this?" Short answer, yes, because the lien didn't transfer ownership. It froze it. No refinancing, no sale, no silent handoff to Lacey. The house couldn't move an inch until I was paid back, in full. I didn't want the house. I wanted them to know that I had always held the power. Lacey's breakdown. It was a voicemail this time, angry, slurred from crying. "You're doing this to punish me. You've always hated that I was the favorite. This is just you being vindictive." I didn't even finish listening, because for once I wasn't reacting. I was reclaiming, and her discomfort wasn't mine to fix. The offer mom reached out quietly. "Can we talk? Just the two of us." I agreed. We met at a small cafe halfway between our houses. No makeup, no small talk. She looked tired. Your father's pride won't let him admit it. But you were right, she said. He built that trust behind my back. I didn't know it excluded you. I didn't know how deep it went. I nodded but said nothing. I wish we had done better. You still can, I said calmly. Start by letting go of the house. The final option. They didn't want to sell it, but they had to, because with the lien and the mounting taxes, they had two options. Pay me what I was owed, sell the house, and walk away with whatever was left. And with Lacey in no position to contribute, they chose the second. Letting go to rise. The vacation home sold quietly. No photos on Zillow. No celebratory posts. Just a quiet transaction handled by a local realtor who understood discretion. The buyer? A retired couple who'd been visiting the area for years and dreamed of living by the lake. They didn't care about family history. They just wanted peace. And so did I. The settlement. My portion of the sale wasn't massive, but it was meaningful. A repayment of years spent patching roofs, fixing pipes, and covering emergencies that were never mine to fix. I didn't use the money for a vacation or luxury. I bought a small cottage an hour outside the city. 2 bedrooms, a wraparound porch, quiet, clean, mine. The first night I slept there, I lit a candle, curled up with tea, and didn't check my phone. Because for the first time in years, there was nothing to clean up. The last visit. 1 month later, I drove by the old lake house. It looked different already. The new owners had painted the shutters and cleared the overgrown brush. The place looked alive again, but without the weight of obligation tied to every beam. I left a note in the mailbox. Not for them. For me. Thank you for making a home where I only carried burdens. May it be lighter in your hands. Then I drove away and didn't look back. The final conversation Dad called 2 weeks later. He didn't ask for money. He didn't mention taxes. He simply said, I underestimated you. I didn't reply. Because it was never about being underestimated. It was about being taken for granted. He continued, slower this time. Your mother says we lost more than a house. You lost someone who would have carried it all, I said quietly, and who finally learned to put it down. There was silence. Then, we're sorry. I know. And I hung up, not out of spite, but because some stories don't need another chapter. Epilogue. A home for me. Spring came. The lilac bush in front of my cottage bloomed for the first time. I planted it the week I moved in. A symbol of renewal, of starting fresh with roots that were mine. I invited Jenna over for wine and firelight. She looked around, smiled, and said, "This place feels like you." "It is," I said. Then I raised my glass. To no longer paying for love, to being seen, and to letting people miss you when you stop being the one holding everything together. You are not alone, and you are so much stronger than you think. Tap that subscribe button to join Veiled Revenge, where we share tales that heal, inspire, and remind you that even the deepest heartbreak can lead to the most beautiful new beginning. Share this with someone who needs a reminder that revenge isn't always about getting even. Sometimes it's just about getting better.